Hi, welcome back to my channel. All right, today I want to talk about everything that I've learned about myself after being sober for 17 years, nearly 18 now actually. Anyway, I want to talk about mainly, for the first thing, is the power of being present with myself, and actually be able to live without panicking about when I'm going to drink or what I'm going to drink and how I'm going to get it. So the freedom that comes with that, and being, actually present and living, and being able to just get up in the morning and just go about and do your business without planning ahead of how you're going to actually get something, get your day's alcohol, or where you're going to get it from, where you're going to hide it, and when you're going to drink it, which is usually as soon as possible. So I've noticed that I'm not actually, if something bad happens, I'm not running away from it. I try and, I deal with it more now. I face up to it. Because bad things do happen in life. We all have bad experiences, and we all have ups and downs. And basically it's just part of life. And when you're just constantly just getting alcohol and shoving it down your mouth, your throat, whenever anything goes wrong, then you're not present at all. You're not really dealing with anything, and you're not really even aware of what is going on. That's what I found after I think about what actually happened when I was drinking, and then some of the events that happened that I wasn't there, I wasn't present for, if you know what I mean. And it's quite depressing when you think back. Anyway, that being free from that, being free from not actually having to think about and plan getting that drink, it's just, I can't describe it. It's just amazing. And it's a long time now for me, 17 years, to think back to that time. But I just remember it was awful. It was unbearable. um that's all I focused on, was basically getting drink and drinking it. And you could sense in your body when you were getting low and you needed to top up and that. So it is. And I know those of you who are still drinking will understand and will identify with those feelings. And it's painful. Also, you don't really have connections with people. I mean, to be honest, at the end, I didn't want to drink with people anyway. I never did. I always wanted to drink on my own. So now that I'm sober, I do enjoy spending time with people. I know I'm still quite a loner, but when, I can actually enjoy my time spending it with people that I want to. And I enjoy it, and I don't have that nagging feeling at the back of me of feeling insecure. I've got to get alcohol, or thinking what people think of me all the time if I am drinking. So I value my friends that I've got now. I haven't got an awful lot of friends. I've got a few long-term friends who have stayed with me since I was drinking, since I stopped drinking. I know from before. But I've developed, obviously, new friends, and I've got a few, like, really, really good close friends now. I don't feel a need to have loads of friends or loads of acquaintances. I feel that it's much more important to have real connected friendships. Um, Also, self-respect. It's non-negotiable anymore. You don't have to feel bad all the time. You don't have to feel ill. You don't have to, when you make a promise to yourself, you can keep it. Up to a point, obviously. You might say, "Oh, I'm not going to drink coffee today," or, "I'm not going to eat a cream cake," and then you end up eating loads. But I mean, that doesn't matter. But you know what I mean. When you make a promise to do something, generally you can keep it. When you're drinking, you make a promise, you never keep it. You promise you're going to stop drinking, and you stop, and then you start again. It's just unbearable, honestly. Hi, welcome back. I've got a school community, 9 Lives Sobriety. It's on the school platform, and it's free, so I'm not trying to sell you anything. But basically, if you want to stop drinking and you want to stay stopped, check it out. There's a link in the description. So there's only a few members at the moment, but there's some members who are struggling to stop drinking. There's a few that have got long-term sobriety, like myself, and basically it's free. There's resources in there to help you stop drinking. There's helpline numbers. There's you can DM me for any advice that you need, and basically have a look, check it out. There's a link, as I said, in the bottom of the video. So yeah, uh, go and check it out and see what you think. Okay, take care. Basically, things like, so many plans I made when I was thinking I wanted to do this and wanted to do that, but I didn't really want to do them then. Do you know what I mean? I swear for it, I kind of thought I wanted to do them, but I didn't really want to do them, because all I wanted to do really was drink. But like, once I got sober, and I'm not saying straight away, I'm just saying after a few years, I developed an interest in, I mean, obviously I had my horses, so I had my dogs, and obviously I was bringing up my children, my young children, so they were my focus. But I kind of got an interest in other things. I mean, obviously my children were sailing, they used to sail every week anyway, so I decided to learn to sail as well. So I mean, we'd had a motorboat as when we were kids, but I'd not actually done any real sailing, so I learned to sail. And that is just so at the peace when you're on the water, and just the noise of the wind and just the sail and nothing else, no engine or anything else. It's so relaxing and quietening to the mind, and it's just awesome. And I just have a great love with water. I love swimming. I learned something else. I mean, I started doing triathlons, so I could swim. I've always been able to swim, but I've never swam like the front crawl. I've never swam in the sea properly, so I learned how to swim in the sea. And I just absolutely, I mean, I love the sea. I've always loved the sea, but to be able to go out and deep and swim in the sea is awesome. So I did some triathlons and set goals, and entered some pretty good ones. I'm not saying I did enter I did enter, oh god, was it one of the really big ones, the Ironmans. But the training was going really well, but my knee gave up on my. Well, I actually did the London Marathon while I was getting ready for this triathlon, and I did the London Marathon, but my knee actually went just before the marathon. But I still ran it. I still ran it. Injured, it didn't bother me. Obviously, it took me ages, but I did it, and everyone said, "Don't do it. Just do it next year. Just don't do it this year. You've got an injured knee." It was a twisted kneecap and something else in my leg, and it was so painful. I can remember now. It was so painful, and I think I was nearly passed out many times. But to see my children running along the mall, and my daughter at the end came up, through the finish line with me, and my son was shouting at me, and it was awesome. It was just the most amazing feeling, honestly. When you think, and all the rest of the family are there. They travelled down, from North Wales and that, to be there, and it was amazing. So. And that was also a test of endurance, because if you think, when we're drinking, we really, the limits we go to get alcohol, and the limits we go to hide it and to drink it, and everything about the whole situation. If we could channel that when we get sober into something else, you'd be amazed what you can do, honestly. So the determination I had when I started that marathon was, I was going to finish it, whatever. If it killed me, it didn't matter. So yeah, I did it, and I was just so pleased with myself, that proud that I never gave up, and I did it even though I was injured. And then obviously I carried on. I was planning on doing that triathlon, the Ironman, but I actually, in the end, I decided it probably was a little bit too much for me at that time. That's another thing with me, and probably a lot of recovering alcoholics. We do think that we can run before we can walk, so we do over kind of, estimate what is possible. And I think doing an Ironman was probably, at that point in time with my injuries, probably was a little bit too much. So I actually pulled out of that, which I'm glad I did now, because I know I would have forced myself to do it. I would have gone through it. I wouldn't have stopped until I'd completed it, and I probably would have killed myself. But yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I did quite a few triathlons, and also I remember one of my friends who was training with me to do the marathon. She kind of got me to do, well, she talked me into doing a walk up Snowdon in the middle of the night, not long after I'd done the marathon. And it was like, I think we started off at about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, so that we arrived when it was like, I can't remember, 2 or 3, when the sun was coming up, and at the top, and it was amazing. But oh my god, it was hell. It was hell. And I almost was crying, actually, because that was painful. We went up a really difficult route, and it was just one behind the other kind of thing, step by step, and I really struggled with that. But hey, I achieved it. And I can remember when I got to the top, I actually wanted to throw myself off because I didn't want the pain of coming all the way down again. But I say that lightheartedly. I was pretty exhausted and pretty pissed off because I was really proud. Obviously, I was really proud of myself, but I was just so exhausted. I just had enough. I just had enough, and I don't think I spoke much in the car on the way home because I was just so bloody exhausted and just wanted to sleep. So yeah, it's amazing afterwards. You know, you can just do such enormous things, but just if you are in early sobriety, just take my advice and don't do as I say. Like, just take my advice and, you know, just take it easy, take it one day, one step at a time. Don't plan something massive. Just do a little, maybe like I've said before in an earlier video, maybe do a 5k run, set yourself up for a little 5k run. You know, I mean, that is a massive achievement if you've never run before, you know, and you can even walk it, so maybe something like that would be good. But yeah, resilience as well. I've just found the resilience in myself, kind of thing, from struggling. And I have to think of all the things that I've gone through in sobriety. Like, I think I said on my last video that I'd come out of sobriety, I'd come out of rehab, and it was my 40th birthday within 3 weeks. So I had that, but my dog was dying, my boxer dog Jazz, and she did die not long afterwards. And I was just, oh, I was so mortified. Well, we all were, and it was so sad. And I was, you know, every dog I've lost is sad, and I've lost a few after that. Since, you know, obviously since then, because we have had more dogs. I've got one now who's, I'm a little bit worried about his legs at the moment. So, but yeah, you know, losing a dog, and then I lost. I've got my big horse Eddie. He was an X-race horse that I'd had when I was drinking, and he was old though. And I'm just trying to think when I lost him. It was about 2017, and I lost him through Cushing's disease. You know, through old age, and I didn't drink on that either. Do you know what I mean? It was a really painful and sad experience, and heartbreaking actually, especially losing. You know, he was a big animal, and he'd been a big part of my life, my drinking life and my sober life. So, you know, we'd had some amazing experiences together. He'd scared the shit out of me at times, you know, but we'd been on these cross country rides, and he just took me over places that I didn't think was possible, you know. And it was a beautiful horse, and to lose him, it was really hard. I've lost I'd lost both my grandfathers, but I lost both my grandmothers in sobriety. No, I didn't, sorry. I lost one grandmother and one grandfather in sobriety. The others had already died. So I lost them, and then obviously I've lost uncles and aunties in the last few years. So we have had family deaths. I've lost two other dogs. I've said Jazz. I lost Cookie and Rio. So yeah, you have, obviously, life, that's the way life is. You go through life and you have losses, because if you haven't got family, if you haven't got pets, you're not going to experience losses. But obviously everybody experiences them. And you know, and also just difficult situations, you know, like money worries you go through life with, you know. And so yeah, I've experienced all that, and I've learned how to deal with it, but without alcohol. And that's the big difference. And yeah, it's painful, but you have to face everything. But you know, that's what it's about. And it's acceptance as well. A lot of it is acceptance. You have to accept that that's the way life is, and you can't mask your feelings, you can't hide. And also with not drinking, you also experience joyful things more, you know. You moved more, you know, you feel more. You know, so the good times are better. Bad times are bad, but it's easier to deal with sober. It's not the easiest way to just pick up a glass and just down your sorrows. It's not. So I've lost family, I've lost pets. I was attacked at work. Something else I forgot. I was actually attacked, physically attacked. I was grabbed by the neck and had my head smashed against a mirror and a basin when I was working at I was training to be a counsellor, and had a part-time job as I was working for a company. It was like a oh, you know, where you get recruitment, not a recruitment company, but where you get different jobs every week. I can't think of the bloody word, but yeah. And I was working at this one particular. It was caring for disabled people, and this one guy was this one day he just turned, and it wasn't his fault. You know, he had, but there should have been two of us on. They were really, really short staffed, and again, it's life. You know, you have to accept these things. You know, it wasn't right. No, it wasn't right, and but at the end of the day, I'm alive. Nothing. I mean, yeah, I had a lot of bruises and I was in pain. I had a bad neck, but I was alive. I was fine. It all got reported and everything, but you know, I didn't feel the need. You know, there was no police in that. It was just an incident at work. Do you know what I mean? So, I dealt with that as well, and yeah, it was traumatizing, and it took me a bit to get over it. But I didn't regret it. You know, it was so much easier. Like I just said, I did forget about that. I forgot. It was many years ago, but I forgot about it. So, things don't have to, you know, stay with you and affect you forever. And also, forgiving other people as well. That's a big one. You've got to let things go because in the past, you know, especially when you're drinking, people upset you all the time and you just drink more and you get annoyed and you get angry. But when you're sober, you don't have that luxury. You can't keep getting angry. And also it makes you, what I've learned is it makes you look at yourself. Why are you getting upset and why you're getting angry? You know, why is it affecting you? And it makes you assess, you know, what is it that's triggering you? And I think that's good in some ways because we're not, you know, we're not perfect. We're never perfect. But, you know, it's just, you have to also, you know, forgiving people that have hurt you in the past. Like oh God, I go back to, you know, when I first started drinking, you know, when my ex-husband left me, you know, I was at my most vulnerable time ever. I'd just given birth to my daughter. I had an 18-month-old son. We had the two dogs. We just bought a new big house. And I had no idea what was happening. And he just said, he just left me, didn't want wife and kids. And I was just so shocked. And I found out he was with somebody else, obviously. And that period, I can't explain it. Yeah, it still affects me now. Some ways it does, but the hatred I had for him, and when I was, you know, when I was drinking, oh my God, that was awful. I would just get so angry. I'd wish him dead. I was just, it was an awful situation. And to be honest, the kids were only little, thankfully, at that time, so they didn't really get or understand what was going on. Which was lucky because when I look back, if they'd been older and they'd been able to understand what was going on, you know, and seen me being so angry all the time and seen me arguing with him all the time, and you know, it could have affected them for life. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad in a way they were so little. But I've had to get over that and going through the steps in sobriety, you know, doing the 12 steps in AA. You know, you have to, like, step 4 is forgive all those people, you know, that you think that have wronged you and that. And you've got to also, you've got to apologize to them for your part in it, you know. And I had to stop and I had to look and I had to work through all this. And now, you know, I'm not really, but it doesn't bother me anymore. I went and did my 4th step, and I did go to him and to his girlfriend, and I apologized for my part in the, you know, some of the angry situations that we got into, and I apologized for what, you know, for my parts in it. And it was difficult, and now it doesn't bother me because it's just, I mean, it hurt. Yeah, it was a bad thing to happen to you, but it's made me grow. It's made me grow. It's made me very independent and know what I want in life, and it's made me stronger. And that, along with, you know, sobriety, everything is a learning curve through life. Boundaries as well. I've learned to say no to people, whereas in the past I used to struggle to say no. You know, when I was drinking and that, I'd be, you know, always like people pleasing and stuff. And even before that, before I was drinking, I was very shy, very insecure. I mean, when I was a child, when I was growing up, I was at school. I couldn't talk because I was so shy, and I was a really anxious child. And my parents were quite strict, and so we had quite a, you know, strict upbringing, a pretty good upbringing, but quite a strict one. And I was just very, very quiet, a reserved child. And I grew up and I struggled to fit in and struggled to fit, you know. And I think, like my husband, he was, I don't want to go into it too much, but I look back on it and I realise the mistakes that I made and how, you know, I put myself in some situations sometime. And you know, now I can, you know, I know what I want in life and I know how to say no to people and to, you know, be firm. And like, especially, you know, since I got sober, I have to say no. I have to say no a lot. If something doesn't make me feel comfortable, I have to say no, because I can't risk drinking. I can't risk picking up that bottle ever again in my life, and I never want to ever. So saying no is big. Like in early sobriety, it was if there was a party, or if there was, I mean, I did go to weddings, I did go to funerals, like I said, but there was some things, you know, some things that I didn't have to attend, and maybe I had to say no, and I did. And I didn't really, I mean, it did bother me at first, but now saying no, I'm not bothered, because I say, you know, I will do what's right for me at the time. And I feel that if something is not right for me, then I will not do it. Simple as, you know, because my sobriety is my number one. Because if I haven't got that, I haven't got anything anymore. And I don't ever want to go through that ever again. You know, I never want to go back to that ever. So by having I've learned that having boundaries are so important, you know, and knowing where you feel safe and where you don't. Um, and if, you know, you just don't want to get into a situation where you feel uncomfortable, and if you do, just get out there. Just get out of there. Just make your excuses and get out. Whatever you have to do, just get out. So, you know, that's a big thing for me. Like I've said, another thing I was just going to say, forgiveness. But I think I've talked about forgiveness. You have to forgive, because, yeah, like I'm saying about my ex-husband, you know, having to forgive him, because, I mean, I know for a fact that he now regrets a lot of what happened. And he's not perfect. He didn't have a good upbringing, and he did things for reasons, you know, at the time that he wanted to. But, you know, I have to forgive that, because he's a children's father, and I forgive her as well. She's gone through a lot in her life, and I've got absolutely no hard feelings towards her either anymore, which is odd, I have to say, but it is. It feels odd now when I had so much anger in me. That's what I should say, because yeah, there was so much anger towards the two of them. But now, you know, I'm happier. We're in the situation I'm in now. That's what I can say. You know, I'm also being grateful for what you have and what you haven't got, because I know then back in those days I had the big house, you know, I had a flash car, I had what I thought I wanted, and I didn't really appreciate it in a way. And I kind of, now I haven't got it. I mean, yeah, I've gone through a few years when I did lose a lot of things, and I still struggle. I still struggle with where I live. I still struggle with not having a nice car, but it doesn't matter anymore. And I'm grateful for what I've got. I'm grateful that I've got a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I've got, you know, somewhere safe to live. It is safe where I live. And I'm grateful for I've got a car that actually, a laugh, that actually starts at the moment. Um, just cars at the moment with me. I've actually got 3 cars, 2 that I need to get rid of, which are scrap. And I nearly thought this one was going to be scrap as well, but no, I've managed to get it through its MOT. And so I've got it for another year. Let's pray it just keeps going. But yeah, you have to be grateful for what you've got, honestly. And also, I'm just love my dog so much. I'm grateful I've got him, but I'm just a bit worried that I'm going to get him checked out tomorrow at the vets, because he's limping on one of his legs. So, but yeah, I'm grateful for my dog, because he's just so supportive for me. He's such a good, he's just such a good companion. The dogs are just amazing. They are the best. And I don't think I've ever lived without a dog. And I don't think I could ever live without a dog. So yeah, I'm grateful to have my dog. And grateful to have the friends I've got. Grateful for oh my God, my children are just awesome. I mean, how they turned out the way they have is beyond me. Honestly, they are just awesome. So yeah, gratitude. And when you just look back and you think, you know, some of the times were so hard bringing them up, you know, on your own. But now I'm just so grateful that I had that time. I had that time to bring them up by myself, and it's just, they're just amazing. So I'm so grateful. I really am. Um, Growth never stops. That's what I want to say as well. I might be 17 years sober, but you know, your growth never stops. There's so much that I've learned, and there's so much I've experienced, but I know that I just don't know it all. And I know I'm almost, you know, I'm always wanting to learn. There's something, I don't know what, I've got an addiction to learning because I've always wanted to know more about everything. And yeah, it's just, I will never be an expert. I'm always learning, always an open book, and I'm always learning. So, you know, people can look at me and say, you know, yeah, I can help them. I can help you stop drinking and all that. But I haven't got all the answers. What worked for me, you know, might not work for you. I can only share what worked for me and explain the way it works for me and why it works for me and how I feel now. And, you know, and share, if that's of any good to you. But everybody's got their own method, and I know there's people out there on YouTube as well who are suggesting other methods of getting sober, and that's fine. Whatever works is all that matters. So, there's, as I said, I will always be learning. There's, you never stop learning, you never stop growing, in sobriety. And also, like now, I'm just saying about service as well, service, helping others, bringing this to a wider audience. My life as a sober person, and sharing it with people is to help other people who were in my situation, who might identify with how I was and can maybe get something from it. So that gives me satisfaction now. And although I've been a psychotherapist, a counsellor, whatever you call it, for God, it's going to be about 8 years now, and I've helped people with other mental health things as well as not as just drinking. It's generally, I've worked as a counsellor, across all kind of issues, kind of thing, mental health problems, not just like drinking. But it's that gives me so much, it just makes me feel so much better about myself, because I'm still insecure. I've still got insecurities. I never think I'm good enough. But I mean, that's something that I've had from a child. I've never thought I'm good enough. Never. I've got abandonment issues and stuff like that. But I know what they are, and I work on them. And that's why I think that it's so important to share, what you have learned and what you have been through, so that it'll help somebody else. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about what I feel that what I've learned about myself in the last 17 years. And it's going to be actually 18 years on Friday. I say that, I shouldn't tempt fate, but I have got no, somebody would have to nearly kill me to get a drink in me now. So yeah, it's been a hard road. It's been a long, hard road. And those first couple of years were, the first year, I would say I was hanging on to my sobriety like it did mean everything to my life, but I was clinging on for dear life, honestly, because everything that people told me about staying sober, I did. I went to an AA meeting every day for a year. I actually did 2 on a Saturday, so I did eight meetings in a week for a year, for the first year, and then obviously I carried on after, but not as compulsively, obviously, as that. But yeah, it's hard, and I wanted so desperately to stay sober that I would do anything, and I've learned that is one of the ways that you will stay sober. The people who stay sober want it the most. And then obviously you have to deal with life. Each day something will happen, good and bad, and you have to deal with it. And there are tools, like as I was saying with AA, and you do the 12 steps. You develop tools, you develop your own method and your own way of coping with life on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's what's important, and that's what I think some people are not getting when I say go to AA or go to rehab. If you try and get sober yourself, you can get sober yourself, you can, and some people do, honestly, but it's not very many stay sober. When I say go to AA, that you learn tools and methods. They teach you, and you learn as a person, you grow as a person, and you meet other people who are in the same position as you are, and you also meet people who are further down the line than you are. So I do think that without that community, you don't learn about yourself, and that is something you need. That kind of you need somebody to be sharing what you need to work on. And I know you can go and get counselling, and being a counsellor myself, I know that I would say that at a push, go and get counselling. If all else if you can't do anything else, go and get counselling. But all I say is that in counselling, generally, you don't learn the tools that, to do with alcohol, because there's very few counsellors who are alcohol specialists, or shall I say, who are alcoholics. Because if you're not an alcoholic, you actually cannot understand what it feels like to live this life. So it's very difficult, and that's what you'll find in AA. People who've been in that situation, and all the people outside of AA, outside in the real world, unless they have been through what you're going through, they haven't got a clue. And it can be all well-meaning, and which is great, and some people have a lot of good advice, sensible, health advice, but unless they've actually been through it, and unless they are a true alcoholic, then they haven't got that level of understanding. So that's what I'm saying. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna I'm on 32 minutes already. So basically, yeah, I just wanted to just go through some of the good points, and not just the good points, but what I've learned about myself in 17 years of not drinking. And yeah, I could probably do another video on this, because there's probably loads I've missed out. But I just wanted to cover a few of the points, just to, you know, to give you an idea that it's not linear, you know, it's up and down. And just a bit more about myself maybe as well. So just whatever you do, just try and stop drinking, try and stay sober. And again, I have put it at the beginning, I'm going to put it at the beginning of the video, but I just joined my school sobriety community. It's called 9 Lives, and I will leave a link in the bottom of this. And it's basically a free community. I'm not trying to get any money out of you, and it's a free community. There's some resources on there. There's some information about AA. There's some information about other places. There's some helpline numbers. There's you can chat with other people who are in early sobriety, or who are struggling to stop drinking, who are still drinking. You can chat with people who are sober, who've got many years of sobriety, because there's a couple of people on there with like myself, you know, long term, somebody with 20 years. So you know, it's for, as I said, it's free. So have a look at that. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. So take care and stay sober. Okay, take care. Bye.